Today is the seventh day of Advent, and our story is Jacob. Jacob is Isaac's son. Isaac was Abraham's son, and so we continue to move through this family. And Jacob has lots of really great stories. I encourage you sometime just to pull out Genesis and read through these stories of Jacob and him and Esau and the way their relationship goes back and forth. This picture of Jacob's ladder, a vision of a ladder to heaven, are all great, interesting stories. But I'm not going to talk about any of them today. Today, instead, I want to talk about a wrestling match. Jacob is traveling, and in the night, somebody approaches him, and the two of them wrestle. And it says they wrestle all night long. Neither one of them really getting the upper hand until Jacob kind of gets a hold on this man somehow. And the man realizes he's not going to be able to get free, and so he strikes Jacob on the hip and puts his hip out of socket. And Jacob will walk with a limp for the rest of his life. But Jacob still doesn't let go of him and says, "I won't let go of you until you bless me." And so the man says, "Well, then no longer will you be known as Jacob. From now on, you will be Israel, because you have wrestled with God." And then Jacob names the place Peniel, because it means I have seen God face to face, and yet here I am. It's an interesting story, but it's one that I love because I love this image of wrestling with God. I don't know if you've ever felt that way, but I certainly have. We've talked about that already, right? With the way that we've wrestled through these stories of Noah or Isaac, and wrestled with how does this text teach us about a loving God? But we wrestle outside of just Scripture. We look at the world and we see death and destruction and violence and famine. We see oppression. We see poverty. We see all sorts of tragedy and wonder, where is God in this? And I wrestle with that. I wrestle with, how does a loving God let this happen? I wrestle with, how does God watch these things happen and is not moved to action? Where is God in the midst of these tragedies? So I love this story because it shows a couple of things, including wrestling with God as a part of the story. Part of our Christian story is that we wrestle. And God is going to wrestle right back. God is willing to engage it. God is willing to get down in the mud with us and figure it out, to push and pull and be pushed and pulled as we wrestle together to make meaning and understanding of what's happening in the world around us. It's a pretty cool God who's willing to do that. Remember that you are loved, and God's peace be with you.